What's going on, everybody? My name is Justin Gaming, and with Uncharted The Lost Legacy set to release in only a few days, I thought it would be a good idea to make one final video about what the game needs to do in order to succeed. Make sure to let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and for now, let's get started. Uncharted is a journey between multiple locations. Especially in Uncharted 2, 3, and 4, they were globetrotting adventures where we visited many different locations like Syria, France, Scotland, Borneo, and so many other places. The thing that I loved so much with Uncharted 2 was that we got to visit tons of locations that aren't very popular in the present day. Places like Nepal, Tibet, and Borneo are all places I hardly knew anything about when I played the game for the first time. In Uncharted 3 and 4, while the locations like France, Italy, and Scotland were all significant in their own ways, I found that they didn't have the same special feeling as the locations in Uncharted 2 had. My hope is that things will be different in Uncharted The Lost Legacy, and we will return to places like ancient tombs and temples. We already know that the entire game is taking place in India, whether it be in a war-torn city or the open area of the Western Ghats. From everything we've seen so far, the locations in Uncharted The Lost Legacy are looking great, and I can only hope the rest of the game will be the same. Naughty Dog games are always known for their great storytelling, and that obviously continues over to their characters. Ever since Uncharted Drake's Fortune, Naughty Dog has focused on developing characters into people that we actually care about, and the exact same thing needs to be done for The Lost Legacy. We already know the three main characters in the game will be Chloe Fraser, Nadine Ross, and the villain, Asav. Even though we've already known Chloe since Uncharted 2, we never really got to learn much about her backstory and what motivates her. Hopefully, this will have a focus in The Lost Legacy, and we'll be able to understand Chloe more as a character. The same thing can be said for Nadine. Even though she was one of the main villains in Uncharted 4, we didn't really know her as much more than a badass female army leader. One of the main things I love so much about Uncharted 2 and 4 is the development of the villains, and I can only hope they do the same thing for Asav. One of the hardest things about making a video game has to be the pacing. It's extremely difficult to find the perfect balance of intense, brutal combat and the beautiful moments that make you want to stay there forever. The main reason Uncharted 2 is my favorite Uncharted game is the almost perfect pacing. The game truly never feels boring to me and has the perfect balance of story, character development, set pieces, gunfights, puzzles, and so much more. This was something I somewhat missed in Uncharted 3 and 4 with parts like Syria, Ship Graveyard, Scotland, and Madagascar. And now this leads me to my next point. Set pieces, one of the core elements of the Uncharted games. After the crazy and over-the-top set-piece approach that Uncharted 3 took, Uncharted 4 went into a completely different direction. The set pieces were still there, but definitely more grounded. And while all the set pieces in the game were extremely great, the only problem I had was that there wasn't enough. Once again, back to Uncharted 2. The set pieces still tied in perfectly with the story, while being fun and over-the-top like Uncharted 3. My hope for The Lost Legacy is that they can once again find a good balance of using set pieces that tie in well with the story, but are still fun to play with moments that make you say, holy shit. And finally, stick to what Uncharted does best, the linear levels. In Uncharted 4, Naughty Dog tried something different by creating one giant area in Madagascar. In the end, all the paths would eventually lead back to the main objective, but gave the player more freedom in where they wanted to explore. Although this was a great addition, and I definitely enjoyed my time playing through it, I felt that it brought down the pacing and prevented me from reaching my main objective. We already know that The Lost Legacy will also have a level like this in the Western Ghats, where we will be able to drive our 4x4 across the terrain. Reviews have stated that this area can take up to 3 hours to complete, required that you complete all the objectives in the area. Considering the game is only around 7 to 10 hours long, that would be insane. I believe that Uncharted is at its best when it's linear, when it's focused on telling a story with characters and an objective, or when I'm in the middle of a giant epic set piece. I don't have a problem with the open level being in the game, I just hope that The Lost Legacy will stick to what the series did well in the original 4 games. So these were my final thoughts on what Uncharted The Lost Legacy needs to do in order to succeed. Of course, these were all my own thoughts, so make sure to let me know yours down below in the comments. And while you're there, please leave a like to support my channel and consider subscribing if you haven't already. You can expect a review of Uncharted The Lost Legacy on my channel shortly after the launch of the game, but for now I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.